we converted a lot. I mean, probably higher than the norm out of the first month. I think we hit 50 or 60%, which is not obviously the norm when you're starting to do cold call leads.
And appreciate you joining on. Stephen, it would be super nice if you could just give a short introduction of what you do, what the company does. And
Yeah, thanks. So we are a digital marketing agency. We primarily do WordPress development and search engine optimization. Those are the two big parts, and lots of other miscellaneous digital marketing type items. So,
got you. And what kinds of businesses do you typically work with?
we typically deal with small to mid-sized companies that are in the service industry. So anybody that would be looking for recurring appointments, booking appointments online. So dentists, coaches, consultants, anybody that would be, accountants, anybody that would be booking ongoing service type industry related leads.
Gotcha. Perfect. So we've been working together for quite a few weeks now. And what have your results with cold outreach been like, in this time?
Yeah, it was good. So we started off with a couple of different industries and had really good success. Honestly, the original estimate you gave me was that it was going to take, the first month was going to be probably quiet and then it would build up. And actually, we kind of started off with quite a kick. The first couple of weeks was quiet, but by week 3, week 4 for sure, we were seeing leads come in, which was great. The way you guys are set up right now using Slack and the communication channels and everything once set up was really nice because we were able to easily reach you. We knew what was going on. It just the system worked really well as far as the back and forth, making sure we knew what was happening and what to expect. And the leads have been great. We've been consistent. I think we found on our end that some industries work better than others. We had one that took off and again was great. We had one that was a little slower that we kind of abandoned on. But it really matters what industry you get into or who you're trying to hit. But it definitely, if we find the right spot there, it definitely works.
Absolutely. And one of the most important things, which is, 100% kudos to you, is if you have case studies, if you work with a lot of industries, it just gives us a lot of ammunition to test. So, we can afford to test several industries, see which one works the best, and then double down. So because you have so much experience doing this, that always plays a role.
Yeah, and that definitely was noticeable in leads too. In the first industry that we had the really high transition level on, we had more case studies, we had more experience in than the second, which definitely slowed. So having those case studies and having the experience in that market definitely was noticeable difference in the leads, the conversions, the whole process from start to finish.
100%. So roughly, what would you say has been your ROI on, whatever we've done so far?
Guys, we definitely are. We weren't looking, I guess, let's step back. We weren't looking to be a huge account. So, I think we were trying to hope for, 10 to 15 leads a month. We've definitely, especially like around the gate with that first industry, we hit that. And, it starts off, it's nice to be able to I don't say not do anything, but you walk in, you've got 1 hit, 2 hits, all of a sudden 3 hits on the calendar, and without having to go out and try to do the follow-up calls and the lead calls and all that kind of stuff. Again, the first industry we worked on, the show-up rate was really good. People were showing up, things were hitting. We converted a lot. I mean, probably higher than the norm out of the first month. I think we hit 50 or 60%, which is not obviously the norm when you're starting to do cold call leads. And then obviously it got down to more of a realistic level. So I don't want to set false expectations there, but it was good. We saw a lot of leads come in quickly, and it was consistent. Every couple of days, every day, depending on what was going on, there was something new popping up and looking at. So.
Right. Absolutely. And you're spot on. Like typically, with agencies, you'll see a 20-25% conversion. So what we saw at the beginning, that was definitely out of the ordinary. But really just boiled down to, industry specific experience, having lots of case studies, big case studies, recognizable names. So all of that works in your favor. Thinking back to like when we were having this initial conversation, obviously I met you through cold outreach as well, right? So what were your hesitations back then, trying to do this, or, when you were deciding whether or not to do this? Because obviously you didn't know us, you knew me just from a cold email. So
yeah. I think it's probably the same concerns that our customers, the leads that we're getting in, have. Unfortunately, in this industry and in a lot of industries, there's a lot of spam, there's a lot of junk, there's a lot of promises with no backing on them. So you're always a little hesitant to jump in to say, yeah, I'm going to put the initial investment in to do, again, when you come and say, okay, it's going to be X per month or whatever it is based on what you're doing, and say, the first month's going to be slow. It's like, all right, well, you're taking a big leap of faith there, not a huge leap of faith, but you're taking a leap of faith there that the person's going to come through, which thankfully, again, you did really well with, so I appreciate that. But I think that was my biggest concern, is it going to work? Am I going to see leads? What is that real expectation coming in? and getting through the junk mail. I get probably 2 or 3 emails a day on we're going to bring you leads or we're going to triple your business or whatever the case may be, and it really interesting to see how that whole process worked. That's the first time we've done cold outreach, so I'm impressed with the results.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. And if you were to just choose one occasion, like at what point were you like, okay, you know what, I think I feel better now. It is working, like that anxiety that you have in the beginning when you just made the investment. When did that kind of go down when yeah.
Yeah, I think there was 2 steps. I think really when we were setting up the first couple weeks, even before the leads started coming in, we started to get the information from your team. Here's what the sequences were going to be. Here's the documentation. Everything was really well organized and communicated, and we knew what to expect. So it wasn't like I went in, signed up, paid a bunch of money, and then didn't know what was going on. I knew what to expect straight through. And then, of course, once the first, second lead starts to come in, the first one was like, oh, that's nice. And then once the second, third one came in, it's like, oh, wow, this actually works. So, obviously there was a reassurance at that point, but I think really the important thing for us was the communication up front and the consistency up front, which has been excellent.
Thank you. And other than, we've spoken about numbers, appointments, all of that stuff. What about some of the, intangibles, like so for example, the communication, you touched upon it a little bit, reporting, transparency, feedback, anything else, overall, how was your experience just working together with the team?
Experience was good. You and I've talking to you consistently throughout. Also, your team members. You have you gave us a dedicated, I don't know, dedicated rep's the right word, but a person who communicated a lot what's going on when the appointments were there. Even to some of the weird scenarios. We had a couple of people that wanted a phone call instead of a Zoom call. And immediately that was communicated to, or we had a couple that did no show, which unfortunately is part of the industry. Just letting you guys know when some of those no shows and then got turned back around, got reached back out to and connected with. So again, the channel on Slack was a huge plus to us, just because again, you guys were very responsive and easy to reach out and see what was going on. So I had that list of leads to look at and follow up with, and you guys knew who they were. I knew what was happening. So back and forth, it wasn't just okay. Here's a random person with no information. I was able to really cleanly go into the call prepared for what they were looking for and what to expect.
And just on that note, for anyone watching this, I would also like to add that a lot of the results that you got, like you've been on top of all of these leads. I know one of the first ones that converted, you actually took that sales call on a Sunday, right? So a lot of the times when we work with agencies, people just don't call their leads, don't follow up with their leads often, and then that leads to contracts, deals falling through the cracks.
Yeah, I think like any real, even if it was an internal sales team versus an external, follow-up is still, sometimes the conversion takes 3, 4, 5 follow-ups to close, right? Like it's not always a one and done type thing. So definitely follow-up is still there. You guys get them in the door, but definitely having a follow-up sequence. Even the ones that either no showed or didn't sign up immediately, we've got them on our email list. We are still getting interactions from them. I think some of those actually still long-term may convert or work out in some other way. So, definitely staying on top of that and being organized is important. So.
Really. Again, I appreciate you sharing all of this, Stephen. Those were really everything, all the questions I had. Just one final thing. If someone's watching this and they're on the fence whether or not to do cold outreach for their business, what would you say? What would your suggestion be?
Yeah, it's definitely worth the shot. Again, I think the important conversations to have up front is really what is the best industry for you to try to reach out to, because it may not be what you'd expect it to be. And again, you had those conversations with me up front, which were helpful. The investment is there, and you guys have definitely backed up what you have said you were going to, which is the biggest part. Even as things, we have busy weeks and slow weeks. Even in the slow weeks, you guys reached out. You knew what was going on. We said, okay, here's what we're doing to adjust. So again, I think that's the biggest thing to appreciate is that you're signing up for someone who's going to be an external sales team for you, not just a third-party contractor who's out there making phone calls for you. You have somebody you can reach out to and talk to and ask and adjust as you need to really make it work.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thanks so much, Stephen. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for everything. Like I said, we appreciate everything. So great.